All right, welcome everyone to today's Blandin Broadband Lunch Bunch on digital use and equity. I'm going to go ahead and turn it right over. I'm Mary Magnuson from the Blandin Foundation. I always forget to do that part. And I'm going to turn it right over to Anne to lead the session. So thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, everybody knows Mary. It's good. It's good. Mary has become one of the greatest Zoom gurus in the last year of anybody I know, and that's saying quite a bit. So that's good. Yes, thank you. Thank you folks for being here. I'm Ann Tracy, so I do this once a month. Just a couple things to kind of get us started, and I'll ask everybody to introduce themselves in a minute. We do these twice a month. The next one will be on, I wrote this down, May 12th, and Bill Coleman will be hosting that one, and they're going to do a legislative update with Nathan Zacharias from the Minnesota Broadband Coalition. So mark your calendar, May 12th, noon, same bat time, same bat channel. So there you go. I have had someone, Paulo Balboa, contacted me, and he has come to some of these meetings. He wasn't able to be here today. He's with the NDIA, and they are looking to write a report on CenturyLink, he and the Communication Workers for America. So if you'd like to discuss CenturyLink, I will post his email address in there. They're just looking to, I think they're looking to talk about redlining. So I said, well, I might know folks who'd be willing to talk about CenturyLink in this group. So feel free to pass that on. It's not something I'm going to put in the Blandin on Broadband blog, but certainly person to person, if you know anybody who'd be interested in, I will, when you guys are introducing yourself, I'll post that in the chat. Yeah, I'm excited today. We're going to talk about digital ready communities, but before we get started with that, maybe we just give everybody a chance to introduce yourself. Classic. Some important spam coming to me. I'll take that off now. Yeah, just say who you are, what you do would be a great start. And I'll, because it's just easier, I'll go through the Brady Bunch of squares for us here. And Mr. David Asp, you're next on my screen. Thank you for coming.
David Asp, Network Collaboration Engineer, Dakota County. We built 331 miles of fiber optic cable, and we're putting in lots more.
And you share a lot of information that I'm able to share on the blog, but you help people not invent the wheel again, because you share so many of the tools that you've done. So as far as building networks, there's nobody more sharing, nobody better at it from a municipal perspective. So thank you for all of that, David.
Thank you. I keep getting borrowed to other counties.
We're working on cloning. That's going to be the next broadband deployment. We're going to clone David. That'll work. Annie, we'll do a bigger introduction first, but I'll just ask you to do a quick one now.
I am Annie Cruz Porter. I'm a Community and Regional Development Specialist at Purdue Center for Regional Development.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Great. Burke?
I'm Burke Murphy, the workforce lead with Red Wing Ignite. And for those of you who may not know, Red Wing Ignite is a smart gigabit city. We're the only rural member of the US Ignite Smart City Initiative.
Yeah. And those were later, you're working on an amazing bridge.
Yeah.
That's great. And Red Wing is a great town, great place to visit. So that's, yeah. Next on my screen, Kala.
Hi, my name is Kala Jarvie, and I'm the library director for the Rock County Community Library in Laverne, Minnesota, southwest corner of the state. We recently finished up our grant as a Blandin broadband community and did some really great projects. Working with Blandin is just fantastic. And now we are so fortunate to be working with Purdue, and we love doing these projects and utilizing the amazing broadband we have down here in Rock County.
Yeah, you guys are really a showcase, and we'll hear more about that later. So that's great. Thanks. Laura?
Hi, I'm Laura with Arvig. I sell fiber internet services to residents, businesses, and I can work with community help. So
Awesome. Awesome. That's great. That's great. A very good community partner there. Emily, I know we'll probably talk to you more in a bit too, but just a quick intro would be awesome.
Yeah, I'm Emily Del Real, and I work with Annie at Purdue University at the Center for Regional Development.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. Ben, you're next contestant on my screen.
Hi, Ben Wallace. I'm co-founder at Smart North, which is a smart cities collaborative. We're working on a few different initiatives around smart buildings, smart street lighting hubs, and tech hubs with Blandin and Arrowhead Region Initiative. I'm also co-founder of Minify Energy, so we do implementation of smart building and energy and sustainable solutions, primarily around buildings in Twin Cities and Minnesota area.
And you're always looking for partners, especially in rural areas. So that's
Absolutely.
set up for folks. It's great. Becky?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Becky Laurie, owner of Namaji Research Corporation up here in Bruno, just an advocate of broadband, everybody getting broadband, especially poor rural areas like where I live. And I loved Kala's enthusiasm over Blandin's involvement, and I'm working with Pine County right now on the grant from Blandin. And so thank you, thank you.
Great. That's awesome. Yeah, I always like when we can see and hear you. And that's a broadband issue.
I have a hotspot right now.
Oh, very good. Very good.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Rye, you're next.
Hi, everybody. Rye Marketilio McCracken, Senior Researcher at the Institute for Local Self-Reliance. Good to see some Minnesota faces.
Yeah. I don't forget that you guys are Minnesota, but because I'm always so Minnesota focused, it's like, oh yeah, sometimes they're not on the block. It's great to have you. Thanks. All right, now people have changed order a little bit. Barbara, I know you're in motion. I'll give you a couple seconds to say hello, but oh, awesome.
I pulled over. Barbara Klein, Leisler County Broadband Initiative and Blandin Community.
Yeah.
Oh, and can you send me the CenturyLink stuff to my email? I definitely wanted to talk about CenturyLink to that guy.
Yes.
Thanks.
If there was a time when I could remember that for more than 10 minutes. I got to write that down. That day.
Yeah, we have a CenturyLink red line. We'd love to talk about it.
Okay. That's fantastic. Great. Glenn, are you able to say hello?
Yeah, I'm Glenn Fishbein. I'm CTO at GeoPartners LLC. I think of myself as the broadband data janitor. If there's broadband data, it's my job to suck it up.
Nice. Nice. That's great. Paul, I've got you next.
Hi, Ann. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Hey, everybody. Thank you so much. It's great to participate, and it's good to see the folks from Purdue. And we're really excited to launch the state of Indiana, their speed testing initiative. And we're hoping to get that out the door here probably in the next 2 weeks.
Nice. And now I am not going to do this name justice. Druckhamer?
Hi, it's Drakmir.
Thank you. Sorry, I apologize.
No problem at all. I'm Drakmir DeBach with Austin Aspires. I'm the digital navigator here in the Austin area. We're working on getting a community broadband, so I just wanted to come in and listen in.
Nice. I'm delighted to see you. I just spend 1 week every summer in Austin.
Really?
With my great aunt, worst cook in America, followed closely by me. But I love that area.
It's a nice area.
Yeah. Abby
Strum with the Alexandria Area Economic Development Commission.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us. Thanks. Jen? I can't tell if she disappeared or look there. There you are. You just moved on my screen, and that's.
Nope, Hi, I'm Jen Frost. I'm a grants coordinator, or what am I? A grants administrator with the Office of Broadband Development at the state of Minnesota.
Yeah. And you've been on the front lines for a while, even before you went to the Office of Broadband Development. So
yes, I was fortunate enough to work with Blandin from years ago, and we got broadband. We're really happy with it. And so I encourage everybody, if you're working on it, keep working. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Nice. It's a good note. Ashley?
Hi, I'm Ashley Schweitzer. I'm with our Office of Operations and Disparity Reduction. And we're just thinking about what broadband might mean in Hennepin County, especially in our rural western edge, but also some of the urban needs that there might be access, but there's some real affordability and digital literacy challenges there. So I'm really just here to listen, and I'm a longtime blog reader of Tracy's or Anne's blog. So thank you. It's really a great source of information.
Thank you. Well, it's great. Welcome. Yeah, I'm used to seeing you more on Twitter than in a Zoom room. I got to admit that right now. So that's
true. I'm MISSASHE on Twitter, but that's me personally, not so much the county.
Oh, fair. That's fair. Good distinction. Yeah. No, but it's great. It's great to know that that you've got a foot in both the rural and the urban. That offers a great perspective. Sonia?
Hi there, Sonia Borgeson-Bethke. I work with Jen Frost in the Office of Broadband Development at Minnesota DEED.
Awesome. Thank you. Welcome. Kara?
I'm here multitasking today, so I'll mostly be just my name on the screen, but Kara Cook, I'm the Executive Director for the Dakota Broadband Board. The DBB is a joint powers organization with 10 cities in Dakota County, and the Dakota County CDA.
Yeah, that's great. I went to your very exciting meeting about a month ago.
Oh,
also in the middle of the meeting, there's a tornado drill, and you can see how it passed through where people are like, oh, it's on me now.
Yeah, that was crazy. A tornado in March is not something you wouldn't expect in a meeting. So
no, something we'd like to not see again. So that's great. I think I got everybody. Speak now or speak later. All right. I'm going to hand it over a little bit because for Annie to talk about the digital ready communities, and that's all I'm going to say about it. But I look forward to hearing more.
Well, thank you all for having me here today. It's always such a pleasure talking to folks from Minnesota. I'm always bowled over about all the work that you're doing up there, honestly. And Minnesota seems to be at the forefront of a lot of broadband and digital issues. So it's really a pleasure being here. So we've been piloting a new program called Digital Ready Communities. And this is really to kind of take communities and help them make that bridge to, I guess, what we would call digital platforms, and help them kind of build that trust that is within, that exists within a community and between people individually in that community, but help them bring that online. So, we're really interested in working with, or looking at how communities, how their online presence is currently, what their reputation is, kind of give them an overview of, digital platforms, netiquette, and legal considerations they should know about, when they engage online, because a lot of this is kind of new for communities, particularly small towns and less populated areas of the US. And so we help work with communities to help them, I guess, design, implement, and then leverage the various online presences and digital platforms that exist, and kind of get a sense of where they want to go with that. So we help them on the back end too. So we will help them form what we call a digital assets group. Okay, and so that group will then take, we'll go through our program, then we'll take that group and we'll help them build on policies that would relate to the digital assets that they have already in their community, because every community already has some digital assets, whether, you have small business presences, whether you have local government, online, or, any kind of public institutions, schools, libraries, that sort of thing, really helping the community recognize what's there and make the most of it.
Unmuting. That's great. You work with a couple of communities in Minnesota.
Yes, we have. So we have Kala from Rock County, and she has honestly, she's really come a long way, and she, I think she picked up what we gave her and ran with it. And and then we've also worked with LeSueur County and Kuchiching County up in northern Minnesota. Yes.
Nice. And we started a lot of this with the conference last fall.
Mm-hmm. The Blandin conference. Yes.
So
go ahead.
I was going to say, so just on a you kind of start with doing this assessment.
Yeah. So we do I guess an assessment, a scoping, so that we can really understand where the community's at and how we can guide them through the process. And Roberto Gallardo, our director at PCRD, he facilitated those discussions and let the three counties define what it is they want to accomplish and where they want to go.
Nice.
And I think as well, I mean, I wasn't part of that conference, so Emily, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think at that conference, they also went through an online presence current status checklist. So they were able to identify local government and community representatives who then kind of gave us an idea of what the baseline conditions were.
Annie, is there a commonality of the conditions these counties are facing?
That's a really good question. I think communities are at different levels. It really depends on whether, some of them have universal broadband, like in Rock County, and others would like to make that happen, right? Mm-hmm. So how do we give them the best tools to then go forward and advocate for that and understand where they are? And that's something we do sometimes outside of this. We have different broadband assessments at PCRD in general. So, there are some commonalities in that. I think, if they already know what that footprint is, that broadband footprint, I think that they can go to the next level and understand how people are engaging with that broadband footprint, right? So you have a real sense of what the skills, with the literacy, I think the confidence, overall community confidence, how they engage with different tools or platforms, and ultimately their comfort level, what tools do they feel comfortable with or not, and how can the community then say, well, this is where we want to be, how do we get there? That's a good question though. Thank you, Burke.
Thank you.
Are there some places in the community that you know to go to first? Like if there's a university, do you go there first? Do you see if there's a government website? Are there kind of a top 5 places?
No, but I think that is something that we need. We're kind of, we just piloted this. And I think one of the things we need to do better is scope out that community. What are the top 5 everything? So we have that list. The entire team here at Purdue is on board with that list. And we know what that is going forward, because, there's kind of gaps trying to especially since we're not meeting face to face. And you just have those kind of informal discussions with community members. And I think that, somehow it hasn't translated as well online as we would like. And I think, that's the story almost everywhere, right? So, because you miss out on just those kind of informal general conversations you have with community folks. And there's almost no way to kind of fill that fill in those gaps if you don't know what you don't know, right? So yeah, I think we, in the future, we need to kind of take stock of, restaurants, colleges and universities that are in the area, community colleges, local government, that sort of thing. I mean, I would say right now we've been talking with local stakeholders, so people who are already really engaged with this process, but they don't, they're going to tell us what's important to them, and that's not necessarily entirely representative of the community. So we need to kind of go beyond that going forward.
I have to ask again, I'm kind of confused about what the goal is of digital ready communities. Is it to empower them to control their own access and use to, gigabit energy or broadband, or is it just to assess the deficits and then help the community be empowered to get them? I
think that it's twofold. So usually we'll work with the community so that they already know what their gaps and deficits are. Okay. So that when they come into our program, they already have that knowledge base. And then at the second point, we're trying to increase their capacity to deal with the problems that they foresee, and also take on some of the bigger issues. So, what is the online presence that's already there? What's the baseline going in the community? So do our Main Street businesses, do they have, or does their Chamber of Commerce, do they have a website? How are they portraying your community? Restaurants, for example, or hotels and tourism has been hard hit during COVID. So is that message, or what you have in terms of those assets physically, the hotels and restaurants, are they online? Are people able to order food online and pick it up? Or what is going on in the community at the business level, at the institutional level, and how can they build on themselves and address the entire presence of the community in kind of a holistic way?
Thank you.
Does that help at all? I hope I've answered some of your questions. So we want to increase the capacity of that digital assets group, that DAG, to move forward in the way that they want to go.
It feels like it's more about usability and adoption than access.
Yes, that's right. But they need to know what the access points and the access gaps are going into it. That's exactly right. Yeah. It's right. A chicken egg, right? So yeah. you have to have the capability, and you also have to have the use, the community use what their assets are.
Right.
So now, Kala, how did you take this on? Because you were one of the pilots.
Yeah. And we kind of love being pilots because if we're bad at it, no one knows, because we're the first.
Awesome.
So yes, we love being guinea pigs. So we'll volunteer for anything. But it's been so helpful so far, and we're not totally complete in the process. We recently finished up a community survey, and I don't want to get too far if you're going to talk about this, Annie.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, the community survey we found was just fascinating, I thought, and it covered community engagement with elected officials via social media, community engagement with clubs and organizations and social groups, and it was really interesting. Of course, I loved where you could enter in a text box. What are some of the words that come to mind when when people ask about your community, or what do you want people to think about your community, that kind of thing. And there were a lot of things that surprised me, and I just thought it was so interesting. And I think a lot of things that surprised my group here in Rock County too, and a lot of them have lived here their entire lives. So it just kind of goes to show that you can't assume anything ever. It's a good reminder, I think. And one of the results we got from our survey is that a lot of people said that they are not comfortable talking to elected officials, and that kind of was not kind of, but it was alarming. We have elected officials in our group. Our mayor and county commissioner, they're in the group, and of course they don't like to hear that. So that was something that they weren't aware of. None of us were necessarily aware of, but that is kind of a big sticking point for us. Is, okay, we know we need to work on improving this. And the survey was a great way to find that out, because maybe we wouldn't have found that out otherwise. And it was just really a great way to find ways to improve. And it was, how often do you engage with different nonprofits and different businesses on social media. And it was interesting to see how many people did look at like the library's Facebook page, or how many people who took the survey looked at the Facebook pages. And that was just, the survey was really, really helpful. And the next step now is to make an action plan based on the results of the survey. And we've got lots of work to do. And that's what we wanted to find out. What do we need to do next to better engage with our community? And the elected official and everybody, we want people to come to us with their problems. I mean, with everything, good and bad. So we want them to feel comfortable. So that was just really an interesting bit of research. So I really enjoyed that. And even putting together our digital assets group, we have really willing participants in Rock County. We had immediate buy-in from both the county and the city. We have the sheriff on our committee. We have someone from Sanford Health, someone from the school, Chamber of Commerce. So we've got a nice diverse group of people. And I found out these social, not just social media, but all these different channels that they use to communicate that I didn't even know about. Like, for example, in the city bills, the utility bills, they can stick ads in there. And I get mine electronically, so I never look past this is how much you owe spot. And so I didn't know that, but yeah, that's the thing they can do. So they said, okay, yeah, well, we'll put the survey link in there. We'll say, take the survey. And that's just really interesting. So and part of the digital assets group is to, when there is a community-wide message that needs to get out, is to have this group of people who have access to and or control over these outlets, is to get that message out there. For example, when we had our very first COVID vaccine clinic here, that would have been an amazing thing to be able to put in, to utilize our digital assets group for, but we weren't quite ready yet. So it's just going to be, kind of like Andy said, a twofold. We'll have this digital assets group for
You're suddenly, yeah.
I was gesturing too much and I hit I muted myself. So we'll have this digital assets group to get out clear and consistent messaging across platforms. And we'll then also have this community survey to improve that communication and improve our relationships with our community. So we're just so excited to be able to use this information to move forward and be better communicators.
Can I ask a question? What are the economic drivers in Rock County and Laverne?
We're an ag-based community, certainly. Yep, very heavily ag-based, but we do have a lot of small businesses here as well. Yeah, the county population is about 9,700, but rural. Yep, very rural.
Yeah, but ag-based is very reliant on Wi-Fi today.
Yes.
Ag tech is very reliant on that. So was agriculture surveyed?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, we sent this out to, we had paper copies also, so it wasn't just an online survey. But yeah, like you said, a lot of our farmers they're online, so they were able to get this survey as well. And we wound up with, oh gosh, what was it? It was over 300 survey results, which is more than what we had dared to hope for. So I think it was good, but we were, I think, able to reach a good portion of our community, and a good sample portion anyway. So that many people are uncomfortable talking to elected officials. I think it's probably fair to say that there are many more out there.
Annie, it would be so great to see the data from these 3 rural pilots. I'd love to know how small business was responding, how ag was responding, how education and government were responding. I mean, because everybody is believing that, broadband is the new lifeblood of economic vitality and equity for everybody.
Yes.
So will you share that with this group?
I can certainly do that when we're finished with the project. Yeah, I would love to do that if Anne had me back. But but I think I could pivot off what Calla was saying. We have the survey and we are looking at 4 distinct pillars. So we're looking at social networking behaviors. So the networking behaviors you have in person, but also, what you do online. We are looking at identity and representation. That's kind of, a hot topic right now, but, that really kind of goes to, how well does your local newspaper or your local media represent you? Do you feel represented by them? How do you feel about your locally elected officials and politicians? Do they represent your community and where you want your community to go in the future? And how well are you able to connect with them? Are you intimidated with by working with them? And we also look at something called awareness. So, people will generally kind of have a feel of what's going on in their communities, but how much are they using online information, and are they aware of online information for their community? So, if they're not, that kind of points the DAG into to just kind of steer their digital engagement plan off the back of that and maybe cater that plan more to that one area. Another area we look at is sociability. How comfortable do people feel interacting with one another? How friendly does the community feel to you? And we measure trust in the community, and that, because that kind of brings it all together. If you don't have that kind of baseline trust, it's very, very difficult to leverage or engage the community in meaningful ways.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is Barbara. I just want to make a comment about Lesueur County. We've had to go on a pause with this. The primary reason being that our county administrator left. We do not have an acting county administrator. We do not have a point person at the county right now that can hold this together at that piece of it. So we're hoping to pick it up again. We're getting a fellow this summer that will be full-time for 2 years. So, and we're doing and we also don't have an economic development authority either. So that wasn't a place to put this. We're doing some work on that. So we're hoping to pick this up again later this summer, but we had to put a pause on the survey. Wonderful to work with, fascinating survey. We're really hoping to pick this up again soon.
Yeah, so Barbara, I would encourage you when you get the fellow to contact me.
Oh, you bet we will. They start July and August. Yes, you bet.
Good, good. So so we're measuring that, and we're trying, and you know, I gave Calla the results of the survey, but we haven't quite mixed it. We want to define that sample and also mix it with the demographics and see if there are any particular demographics that are stronger or weaker, and how the digital inclusion plan or digital engagement plan can address those. Yeah. So I could kind of take you through what our different modules are. If you think that would be helpful, we have 7 modules throughout the whole program. The Blandin, with our work with the Blandin Foundation in these 3 counties, we've kind of shortened it somewhat and kind of blended some of our modules, but we do have a DAG, Objective Learning Center, or learning, I guess, self-assessment and visioning portion. And then we talk about trust and how to have a digital, a DAG, essentially. And then, so how they can make the most of their website. We cover legal considerations. Now, we didn't do this for Minnesota because we only use Indiana laws as are applicable here, but we did encourage each of the DAGs to kind of go out and find what's relevant to their own state.
What's a DAG? What's a DAG?
It is our digital action group. Is that correct, Emily? Yeah.
Digital assets group.
Assets group. That's it. Sorry. We have action plans and assets group. So yeah, that's the steering committee that is formed at the beginning of the project, and it carries it through.
Thanks.
And then we have an internet safety and security component, and how that digital asset group can work together, how they may define their guidelines and procedures. And lastly, we help lead them through a digital engagement plan so that they can improve their online presence using the survey results.
Great. So you not only help them get the data, you guide them to implementation.
We don't guide them to implementation, we guide them to creating that plan.
Creating the plan.
Yeah, and then it's up to the DAG to implement it. We hope that going through the program, they therefore have that capacity.
Very good.
Yeah.
So once you have the DAG, with the plan, I imagine there are what to do in certain contingencies. The only thing I think about a style manual, but I don't really mean a style manual. If you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you're thinking, well, I guess the digital engagement plan, we will ultimately have kind of a process agenda and process book that goes along with this. It's being developed and created as we go along. But I think, you know, even if we have that, we still need those conversations with communities to help get them through that. It's because it's not an easy process to just pick up and do on their own.
No, I just included in the links, there's a group called Coalition of Government Information, and they might be good for contacting for Minnesota laws and some of that stuff. Years ago, I was more active with them. I think I bit their original website. Actually, I think they're still using it. So but they might be a group. It's a nonprofit, a lot of lawyers.
I know that, I think there's a federal law called the Hatch Act, and that's one thing that our module goes through. And with the Hatch Act, I think it is illegal. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, for elected officials to post anything political or in support of anything overtly party oriented or political within their local communities, something to that effect. So definitely look into the Hatch Act and how that might be applicable in Minnesota as well.
It's amazing the level to which you have to go through that. I have gone through this with businesses, and it's much easier because you're all rowing in the same direction in theory anyways.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. So local governments and institutions, there's a little bit more complexity for them engaging online. Chop your waters.
Absolutely. We're missing Ann Broaddus, who often does come to these meetings because she's doing a lot of work in northern Minnesota.
Okay.
And she works with kids. She works with young kids, grade school, middle school, kind of coming up with messaging. And they did a whole bunch of the billboards over the summer to encourage people to wear masks. It's an area that's rich with tourism.
Uh-huh.
So
well, that's kind of neat, and get kids involved in that.
Mm-hmm. Very much, very much. So she works on a lot of community messaging from that perspective.
And that's definitely a part of it. I think sometimes communities don't think about what their message is and how they might be perceived by outsiders. So here in Indiana, there's a town not too far away from the Purdue University campus called Delphi, Indiana. And a few years ago, there were 2 young girls who were killed while out hiking. And that made national news. And so Delphi had been really working hard to build its reputation prior to that event. And so, now it's forever linked to that. So, there's going to be, I think, some building blocks and some work that the community will need to do online to make it look as safe as a community that it really is, I think.
I've often said that, sometimes the job of a publicist is to get you in the paper, but the really good publicists keep you out.
Yes. Yes, but at the same time, you want to find whoever did this, right? So, yeah.
Oh, yes, and I don't necessarily mean for this, but I just,
Yeah, no, I think that's true. I think what you're saying, there's a lot of truth to that. So at the same time, Delphi, Indiana is going to continue to be in the media until they find who committed this crime. Yeah. But they have amazing trail system. They have a lot of cute antique stores downtown. It's a really vibrant small town. So there's a lot to like there.
That's like.
Mm-hmm. And that is something Kala touched on in our survey. We also asked, what are some of the hidden gems in your community? And we got a lot of interesting answers for Rock County. So what are those hidden gems, and how can the community capitalize on those and make them known? What is the messaging that you want people to take away from when they look up your community? Because, it's a global world, and you can look up the name of any small town in Minnesota, any county, and what is there? What is the message or the narrative that's being portrayed online about your community? You kind of want to control that to some extent.
What were some of the surprises, Kala?
Well, the hidden gems, let's see. A few people put the library, so I'm really proud of that. I was not one of them. So, I mean, it wasn't just me stacking the results. Quite a few people wrote our state park, Blue Mountains, which is gorgeous. So that is a huge draw for people from across the Midwest, really, because of the rock climbing. So that's great. the people talked about, we have a huge collection of nutcrackers in our county museum. But that's also been the source of a very intense local rift. Like some people love them, some people hate them. So, and this was reflected in the survey comments, and I mean, it's just kind of funny to me, but it's just a never ending nutcracker debate. But people wrote about our small businesses. We've got some really great small businesses, some great restaurants. A lot of people commented on how clean Laverne is. And that's something that I had never noticed. But when I thought about it, it really is very clean. I don't think, and now I'm looking, but I never see garbage on the street ever. So it is just an incredibly clean community, and that's a drawing point for some people. And we've got all these amazing parks. We've got just a ton of parks for a very small town. They're called pocket parks. They almost look like just someone's backyard, but they're public parks. There were a ton of assets that people could list about our community, which is just great. We just love to hear that.
Well, then I suppose the next step is to capitalize on that. As I said, I've done similar processes with businesses. So I'd say, all right, so then you want to go to see what your listing is on Wikipedia, and you want to, all that sort of, but I suppose those are some of the next steps. Because as you said, it is really a fourfold. And part of it is that marketing out, and part of it is the communication in, and building those channels for that perspective. In terms of social media channels, did you find that folks were using some more than others?
Yeah, and I don't remember what the exact demographics were, but it was an older group that took our survey, and by older I mean not like 30s and up, so not that old, but not like millennials on up, not really much in Gen Z. So we saw Facebook users, a lot of Facebook users, but anybody younger than that isn't using Facebook. So that is something that we do know about our community, but that's not reflected in the survey. But yes, tons of people use Facebook.
Yeah, that was the #1 hit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Instagram's pretty popular too, but Facebook is the big one.
So out here on the website looking, you're trying to earn the community's trust and convey the benefits of the program, establish digital assets, know what you have, where you have it, assess the current online presence, which you're saying is your reputation on Facebook and Instagram, discuss importance online presence, etiquette, legal considerations. So what can you do, what you can't do, and then design and implement a community-wide digital engagement of how you can get the public, everybody to play nice together in the sandbox. Since we're talking about fiber, everybody's doing silicon these days.
Yes.
And you're trying to get where the top of it, you list the city hall, the fire, to me, that's dots on the map. Who's going to be involved in it? Are you, just hooking up public locations and schools, but you're also looking at industrial parks, you're looking at, the Chamber of Commerce is probably nonprofits, probably, every schools, the tech colleges, universities, the extension buildings, and then you're trying to take those digital assets, with the group and look for success of how you can educate, get trust, teach people how to use it. I know with Renly Sibley County here in Dakota County, they did the broadband, brochure of, sent out the mailer flyer of what fiber is, what it's being used for, the different, uses, so that people know, okay, it isn't just going online and looking at Facebook. There's other things that, oh, I'm taking a walk and I, hurt myself. Where's the local clinic or hospital or something? Or, oh, I've got my bicycle just broke and I need to take it in. Or, oh, I want to go for some ice cream or something along, some place. And I know we're busy hooking up all these trailheads and doing things that so that the people can have a Wi-Fi access, so they can go to local businesses, so that they can then utilize the assets of what they have there. So
yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. Even, at the small business level, we have another program for digital ready small business, but at the community level, we looked at a lot of small businesses. They may not be on TripAdvisor, they may not be getting reviews on TripAdvisor or on Yelp. And that's another way, you can kind of connect the dots. So if I drive through Dakota County and I'm looking to stop somewhere and eat, what's good and what's the reputation of it there, or will they have the kind of food that I'm looking for, or, I crave at that moment. So, it is, understanding everything that's there and trying to connect it.
It's building the supply and the demand.
Yes.
Build it and they will come, but you need to make sure that they know when they come what to use it for. And that's what the whole take on the digital navigator and a lot of these different programs is to have it so that they can go in the libraries and schools and the different things and teach the people how to use it, so that you can hand out these hot spots so that people can actually know what to do and have their 10-year-old show them how to hook it up and make it work.
Yeah. You bring up a good point. Talking to some of the digital navigators in some communities would be a great idea.
And try to promote community-based education type with, the digital navigators that are, like it was brought up to me by Travis Carter with US Internet, that they don't want all these help desk calls because somebody didn't plug in, some connection somewhere. It's simple tasks, but my computer doesn't start. Well, have you updated the software lately? Have you turned on this? Have you turned on that? Or the old adage of my screen won't come on. Have you plugged it into the wall? So
yeah,
it's getting the education side so that people know this is how I use what I have.
Yeah, there is a tech support component that I think is important at the community level. And a lot of people, they'll just kind of get in a jam, like maybe my batteries run out, but I didn't think about that. And, you do have to plug it in and keep it charging. And, how do I just connect to a Wi-Fi system and not just run off a data charging plan? So, there's a lot. It is technical and it is complicated for a lot of people if they're not used to it.
But it's self-feeding. People get on, they build community, they want to get on, they'll go up, go across the next barrier to get in. So I'm winding down because I'm looking at the clock too. It's a great program, and it's a great thing for a community to be working on, to build the supply and to build the demand and to recruit to outside. It's just it all has to happen at once, and it all impacts every channel impacts the next. So you got a little herding cats going on there, but you're doing a good job.
A little bit, yes. Thank you, Ann. Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's fun I don't know if anybody has any last words they want to. Unless you've already put it, Mary, I've got the link I'll add right now to register for the upcoming lunch bunches. I did that.
Hey, Ann,
Yeah.
It's Jen. Can I?
I was like, it
ask
sounds like Jen, but I can't see anyone. Yes.
Did somebody mention LeSueur County was looking to get a fellow? Was that the Land of Lakes Connect America? Was that, are they looking through to get one through that program? Just curious.
And I think Barbara's gone. That would be my guess.
Okay.
That would be my guess. And I just posted that in the blog, something about that today. And I will post the link right now.
I saw it, and that's what made me think of it too, but I didn't ask the follow-up, and I just thought maybe someone knew if they were already engaging.
So the 30-second take on that is that Land O'Lakes with other organizations has started a America Connect Corps.
The Community Connections Corps.
Community.
So
yeah,
Purdue and in Indiana, we're involved as well.
Awesome.
Here at
awesome.
Yeah.
Land O'Lakes is a Minnesota company, so we're all over. Well, that's great.
They've been great. They've been absolutely tremendous in helping bring together all these organizations. So
and I think they've just formally unveiled it yesterday, but it is a place where if someone wanted to become a fellow, they've got opportunities for 2-year positions. And I equate it to the AmeriCorps. I mean, I think it's akin to the AmeriCorps. Or if you had a community that wanted to have a core member come to the member. And that's about, I invited somebody to come and talk about it briefly today, just to mention it, but I've added the link there. If anybody has any information anymore to share, please do, but that may be a future topic. Fingers crossed.
I've also put in my email address if anybody wants to contact me separately. So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Yes, we got a message from Carol. Land O'Lakes will be presenting about their broadband work at the June 9th. Oh, at the Dakota County Board meeting. There you go. I'll make sure to put that on the blog too. I'm sure I'll get the notes about that. So great. Well, it's 101. I've gone over. Darn it. And we will I will post these notes. Mary will get the video on, and I'll get the note. We'll get this all by the end of the day before I get my vaccine at 5 o'clock today. My overriding concern. Thank you. Thank you, Annie. Thank you, Emily. Thank you, Kala. It's fun to hear about this. It's a really interesting project. It's a lot of moving pieces. It's good for you guys. So
thanks for having me.
Yes, and thank you for having me as well.
Yeah. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.